Hello and welcome. Today is Wednesday, 30th of April. So there's the finished roof canopy from the aerial perspective. We'll talk about this and what's come out of this a little bit more when we get closer to the structure. So I'm just going to pause the video and then carry on the ground level, as it were. So here we are at the ground level. That's it, see it all in its entirety. And you can see where we've got the tile effect overlaps. Now, I'm going to say this was 75% successful. And I can use that figure because we've got 4 roof sections, so a quarter of that is 25%. And that's where the sort of problem is, as it were. 2 things happened yesterday. The inner voice said, you can do this, you can get this finished. And I was starting to lose the daylight, so it was about 8 hours work getting these last 2 sections covered in the plastic and then the material covering over the top. And then putting the bamboo lining just for visual effect more than anything else. I've still got this section to fill in here, and I may do something about these polystyrene foam things, maybe put material over those. So the intuition said, or the inner voice said, just keep going with this. And I noticed last night when Damiana came in, went to stroke her, and her fur was slightly damp. She's just, I don't know if you can see her there, she's sunbathing on the roof to see the top of her head there. So I had a bit of a rain pour last night, so as you can see probably on this mat, still got a little bit of damp so that it gets from the ground and so the capillary action of material. So the inner voice said, carry on, get this done, get this finished, which I did. So it's had its rain test and it works. But I did make a mistake because the word capillary action, or the words capillary action, came in, and I just went into the conscious mind of, I know better. So you could say I've made a slight mistake in that this material covering on this piece doesn't have the plastic coming down sufficiently to make a barrier. So it's damp and it's dampening the actual wood. But it's not a problem because it's going to test out, don't know if you can see it here, 2 screws and a piece of wire to keep this in place in case of strong winds. So one, it's now a test of how easy is it to remove a section. Because I've got plenty of plastic seating left, I can make massive overlaps and I can correct what you would perceive as a mistake. So was it a mistake, or was it more just a learning curve, as much as anything else of you should have listened to that inner voice? Totally. So a valuable lesson, but it's also a pattern of this experience and this reality. The things you see as mistakes are not mistakes. They may seem so at the time and even upon reflection, but there comes a point when you realize, hold on, that wasn't a mistake. It's just something tailored to my individual needs, because I need to improve my communication skills within oneself, listening to that inner voice. Don't try and think it. and don't think you know best. Because what has that done? It's created a bit of additional work, but what have I got in my situation? I can show you, but you're not going to be able to see it. I've got time on my hands. Now, the devil will find work for idle hands, but they're not going to be idle. And it's about living, not earning a living, because that's where living in trying to work your way out of something to be successful in this material world will get you there quicker. You will end up in an urn as ashes. So it's how we perceive things, always. Was it a mistake? Was it not a mistake? Well, yes, in a way it was a mistake, but no, it's not a mistake, because there's value in that learning curve. Primarily, it's learning that communication of that inner voice. This saying that's often used about you have the power within you, this is a prime example of it. You're like a vessel, but you've got a hole and the water's being let in, or the analogy is you're letting your light escape. The courses that I offer are effectively to recognize your true self, to find that self-empowerment, to stop your light escaping. Your perception of this reality will completely change through that. What you'll then see is the natural green screen, and you'll start to see that it is a canvas, it is a living picture that cannot be framed. But within that living canvas, you are an expression of the great artist. You are an expression of the great architect. One of the big puzzling questions that many have had and still do is, what was the Great Pyramid of Giza built for? What if I was to tell you that you are the living expression of what that represents? So the courses that I offer will show you through experience the internal workings, the true function, and as much as anything else, the realization that you are also a Stonehenge. What do I mean by that? Well, imagine you're standing in the centre of Stonehenge. Now, the standing stones around you is that small group of individuals that you reflect, and they reflect back. Can be on the same frequency, can be on a completely opposite frequency. This is where the self-empowerment, the recognition comes in. What is being reflected back to me? Is it something to aspire to, or is it something showing me the polar opposite of exactly how not to be? So that saying about keep your circle of friends small, I would say reflected internally is your 12 cranial nerves. So you are standing at the centre of Stonehenge, you are effectively standing in pineal, and the standing stones around you is that small circle that you reflect and interact with. We are the pillars, we are the monument of man, regardless of whether you're in a male or a female form. But just like the Great Pyramid, you're looking to replace and put back those casing stones, which is your aura, which makes you stand the test of time, which you will shine out into this world. It's the same as all this talk about what goes on in the sky. What's really going on? Well, the answer is very simple. It's like if you want the sun to come out, you've got to take active steps and step out into the world, and that will reflect. Because we've gone from grey skies, it was overcast earlier, but as soon as I stepped outside, the sun came out. This is the second day this has happened. It's a recognition that that is also a reflection, because you are the sun. That's what these courses are all about. That is a deliberate spoiler alert, because I can say it, and I can say it over and over again, but until you go through the experience, you are not going to find that, you are not going to recognize it inside yourself. I offer myself as living testimony, and why I feel the courses that I offer can benefit you. Because how have I survived all this time? Once again, divine timing has come into play. I asked 2 videos ago, I explained my situation in the material sense. Doesn't look that great, and it's an ongoing thing. And although the perceived problem is an ever-present threat, the way I respond to it has definitely changed, that I can have that trust in you. And some of you have been so generous, and thank you for the donations. That really does help. It keeps not just this channel going, it keeps me going as well. Provides food on the table, the sort of basic necessities. I'm not exactly a materialistic person. Person is not even the right word to use if you look in Black's Law Dictionary. That's a whole different subject, but it does tie into this. And what I plan to do with these courses is then refer you over to others who are far more experienced in this, extracting yourself from this fraudulent legal system, so you're able to stand in your power in that situation as well. So this is the sort of ground base work with the courses that I offer, through personal experience. So wherever you're coming from, this is the thing. Where are you at? This is the first thing, because the courses are basically fluid templates which can then be tailored to your individual needs to help you find that empowerment that is actually inside you, whether you recognize it or not, but it is there. So it's to help you recognize that, so you're able to master the ability over that power. So in the time that you are here for this finite experience, you can make it a far more better experience for both yourself, and from then radiating that out, others will recognize it, and you can be of service and benefit to others as well by going through the experiences. So this is like a chain. You could say it's like a blockchain, but this is nothing to do with the material world, but it does have implications and an effect on the material world. It's said that we can't change the world individually. Well, that's a challenge, and I'd say yes, you can, and I offer myself as living proof of that. Because do you see any crimes happening here? Do you see any wars? Do you see any conflicts going on? There's all kinds of pictures being shown, And what's coming out with all these power outages is a huge topic that's I feel I'm going to be talking more about in future videos, because it's only because somebody said about it I knew nothing of it, and certainly not affected by any of it. I would have known about it now because scrolling through homepage of YouTube there are videos now talking about it. But without that, I would have been none the wiser about it, because it had no direct impact, no adverse impact upon me. But it's also, again, it's seeing what is being reflected to you, how much you are going to allow that to affect your life, how much you can overcome that, how much you can then still carry on in this world unaffected by whatever the external throws at you. So self-empowerment, this is what it's all about. Wow, how unusual. A vehicle, that must be about the second one that's gone past today. That's how busy it gets around here for traffic. So I reiterate what I've said on video before. If you're struggling with all manner of things in this reality, there is a golden opportunity if you can get yourself to Portugal. You are more than welcome to come and stay here for a week, a couple of weeks. Get away from it all. We could have like a residential course sort of built into that, as much or as little as you wish to do. A way to recharge yourself. Which reminds me, on a final note, now you may have heard it, and probably on an advert if you don't know the piece of music, and I refer to Verdi's Anvil chorus. I'll put a link in the description so you can hear it, and you'll probably think, oh yes, I've heard this before. It's that well known. But something I often have to hand is a cup and a teaspoon. So when if you decide to play that piece of music, or you happen to hear it on the radio, just get yourself a cup, get yourself a spoon, and tap along with it. And then see how it feels. It's a bit of fun. And I would recommend doing that. Maybe take 5 minutes out of every day, no matter what you're going through, what stresses you're going through in life. And just try that experience. In the moment, childlike wonder, having a bit of fun, and just see how that lifts your spirits or not, depending on whether you can detach yourself from all the stresses and worries and just be in that moment, because I find it recharges you in just under 5 minutes. It's like, oh, that was a bit of fun. Why didn't I do this before? And it's so simple, because you don't need to know anything about the piece of music. It's just tapping along with a spoon on the cup. Don't use a plastic coffee stirrer and a polystyrene cup. It's not going to work. That's so plastic and artificial. But don't hit the cup too hard with the spoon and break the cup either. But keep things within reason, obviously. But as much as anything else, it's a bit of fun with the rhythm and trying to get the timing just right and just enjoying the moment. So I think we'll end on that hopefully inspiring and uplifting note, and do let me know in the comments if you actually try that and how it felt for you. What was the experience like? Because it's just a bit of fun, and it's a bit of light relief from all the negativity. They're all stories in this world. So nearly up to 20 minutes there. Look, 19 minutes and 44 seconds. Just happened to see on the timing, so that's a good place to stop, coming up to the 20. So as always, I'm going to say Unconditional love to you all. Do check out the links in the description if you wish to get in contact.